Welcome back to the Unbiased Opinion, where everyone's opinion is biased, except ours. Of course, Colin.
I'm Craig.
And I'm Frank Reich.
Yes. Excuse me. So last time we did an NFL episode was either early September or late August. I can't remember which. But we're going to do a mid-season review. It's going to be week 10 on Sunday, so... Right? Week 10?
Yeah, I think it's technically week 10, but we haven't had the Thursday game yet, so it's in between.
Yeah, week 9 just happened, and there is a lot to discuss. So, Craig, how about you start us off?
I mean, I want to start with the AFC, and there's no bigger disaster this year than the Denver Broncos.
Yes.
I'm just kind of shocked at how bad they are. Like, they look so... And it's funny, too, because their defense is, like, a top unit, but their offense is so bad. Like, it hurts to watch. And people want to put a lot of the blame at Nathaniel Hackett, the head coach, because he was Aaron Rodgers' like best friend and doesn't really have the experience to do it, which I do agree with. But Russell Wilson, I think, deserves more of the blame. I don't know if that's a hot take, but I think they obviously can't get rid of him because the idiot GM signed to a mega contract before he even played a snap for them. So they're tied to him for I don't know how long.
It's probably something Wilson wanted to do also.
Craig, yeah. Could you say that there's an unlimited amount of blame that can go around with the Broncos?
Okay, so before we continue the Broncos, we must address Russell Wilson's borderline creepy videos he makes on Instagram or whatever. First thing that he made, and I think I might have showed it to you guys, he had a Subway commercial where he was talking. It was the sandwich called was like Danger Witch or something like that. It was something.
Oh my god, that was so bad.
Something terrible. But some guy on YouTube digitally, like, he cut out Russell Wilson and put him in the back of the scene from The Dark Knight when the Joker shows up at the party, and it has like that like creepy music playing in the background, and it's very unsettling because there's one point where he's like, "Whoa, I have a couple secrets myself. I'm not gonna get into that." He says something to that effect, and it has that creepy Joker music in the background. And then a couple weeks ago, he did on Instagram the Unlimited. This is all unprovoked. Like, he's doing this. No one's telling him to do it. He's just doing it because he's bored or something. I don't know. But I don't know how to put this lightly. Like, he's a tool. He just seems like an entire tool. And after week 1, when they lost to Seattle, all these former Seattle players are talking about how he kind of keeps to himself in the locker room. His image in the NFL is nothing like it is behind closed doors. So all these former players are like talking trash about him, and he's just a tool. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he just seems like a giant tool.
I keep seeing the word "fake" being thrown around, and I can see why.
Yes,
well, Craig, didn't you tell me that like Seahawks players, like once he went to Denver, like they started actually revisiting the facility?
Yeah, I saw a report. Like, yeah, they didn't feel comfortable coming back, and they didn't like him also. Which is kind of strange. Most people would want to see like your former players. Like, I see, Peyton Manning gets inducted. Like, I forget who just got inducted to the Ring of Honor for the Colts, but like Peyton and like the
Jeff Saturday. 2000. Or no, Tariq Glenn actually. No, I think.
Yeah, it was him. Yeah, like all the former Colts players are getting together and hanging out and see like they're having a good time, and then like I don't see that happening with Seattle. Like, they all seem to hate his guts, which is very odd. I mean, I obviously we're not Seahawks fans, and no one really cares what happens in Seattle. Like, they're in their own little universe. So I never noticed a lot of these things, or I guess most people didn't until, he signs this mega contract. He wants out, and now all of the weird things he does, like, there's a huge spotlight on it. You just can't ignore it. It's.
Well, I mean, his most recent one was when he was doing like calisthenics.
Yeah,
like, on the plane ride to London. Yeah, like 4 hours. Like 4 hours of doing calisthenics while everyone else is trying to sleep, and then he like talks about it to the media, like brings it up to them. It's like,
unprovoked.
Are you trying to make yourself seem better than your teammates? Like, why are you doing that?
Show how he's committed and his unlimited dedication.
God.
But I do want to say, I want to put most of the poor play on offense on him, because if you look at a lot of these plays, people do get open. he just doesn't see them. He wants to make like a deep throw or a big pass or make a big play because he is committed to becoming like a future Hall of Fame quarterback and like an all-time great, which I don't think he's. I mean, he's not going to be an all-time great. That's already kind of settled. But I feel like I wouldn't vote from the Hall of Fame after this year. I mean, which you could say is a knee-jerk reaction, but it's just kind of funny how Seattle covered up so much of his deficiencies.
Well, to his credit, I don't know if he had, before some of those games, I don't know if he, had enough time to stretch before it, so his arm isn't loosed up, as it could be.
Yeah, the thin air is messing with his stretching.
Yeah, but yeah, they're definitely the most shocking because looking at the preseason rankings, they were like a top 10 team ranked.
I mean, I think they were saying like top 5, like they were gonna take out the Chiefs and maybe even get the number 1 seed in the conference. Like people already projecting to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think the one I saw they were like number 7 coming in, and I was like, that's still a little high because again, even though they have a lot of talent on offense, those offenses still can take time to get going, especially bringing in a new coach, a new quarterback, and different components. They can take time, but I don't think anyone would have predicted this.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what we said, but we thought Denver would be battling for a playoff spot, and at this point, they're 3-5.
Stick a fork in them.
They're third in the division. They're 2 games behind Los Angeles, the Chargers. And yeah, I was not expecting it to be this bad for Denver. I always thought after the Legion of Boom, I always thought Wilson was overrated because we were saying this, that he was carried by Marshawn Lynch and the defense, but ever since Legion of Boom disappeared, he's actually been playing really well for the first 8 games of the season or whatever, and then he collapses like usual. But I always thought he was competent, and then after he went to Denver, it's really head scratching. Like they've only scored 121 points so far this season.
And I want to point that
too, 132 points.
Because people want to put the blame on Hackett, which I mean he should be more of a head coach, and he'd obviously have some horrible decision making. But the way Wilson described their relationship, he said like they're equals when it comes to the game planning. So again, you could put a lot of blame on Wilson for just missing wide open guys, like the Thursday night game against the Colts, missing wide open guys or going deep for some reason, throwing picks in the end zone.
Yeah.
But again, he deserves so much blame for this, and they're probably going to can Hackett because they're unfortunately tied to Wilson for a long period of time.
Yeah, you at least have to give him another season. You can't. How much did they pay him?
Too much.
It was like I think $45 million a year or something, which I can kind of understand to try to get ahead. Like with the Patrick Mahomes thing, signing him to $50 million a year, it sounds like a lot when they did it, but it was for 10 years, and over time, it's not going to be as much because the quarterbacks, they're going to keep getting paid more and more. So I think it's smart long term. I think that's what they were going for, but I just feel like still like you haven't seen him play a snap for you. It seems a little too soon if you ask me, but what do I know?
Not as much as NFL Next Gen stats.
And also, too, I need to like confirm this, but I've also like heard and read that like Wilson has like an office at the facility.
I think so. Yeah, like he has his own office. Like and Hackett sent my office.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that even like on the Pat McAfee show, I heard them talking about that, and they were like, it was other. But they were saying like like not even like Peyton Manning would do that. Like he was always in the locker room with the guys. Like you're one of the team. You're not it's not like, oh, receivers come to my office and let's meet. like you're their GM.
Sit in my office and let's talk about why I missed this wide open throw.
Like what can you even say to those guys? Like trying to like scold them. Like, dude, you missed me. What are you talking? You look at the tape.
No, he's too busy coaching airplanes. I would say the other team that's disappointing this year is Green Bay.
Well, I want to stay in the AFC and bring up the Raiders. They would probably get a lot more flack if it wasn't for like the Broncos were like an even bigger dumpster fire in the same division.
The Raiders are 2-6 right now. They're bottom of their division. And everyone was singing their praises that, Devontae Adams, he was college teammates with Derek Carr. They showered in the same locker room together. I don't know. People are saying weird things. But they're a measly 2-6 right now.
And it's funny because like they're blowing lots of games too. It's not even like they're playing like as bad as the Broncos they shouldn't be in any of their games, but their defense is so good they stay in games. Like the Raiders, or at least kind of keep staying in games, but they blow these leads. Just kind of sad.
Yeah, they're just they're just all bad.
I can't wait till Josh McDaniels runs back to Belichick or run back to the coordinator job.
That's funny. I was gonna make a joke saying like, the best thing for the Patriots fans can hope for is like the Raiders firing McDaniel so you can like crawl back to Belichick mid-season to like fix their offense.
Yeah, Matt Patricia. We'll go back to the Raiders in a second, but Matt Patricia is calling the offense, which makes no sense because he was a defense guy.
Well, isn't he? Is it him or it's him and like Joe Judge, right? They're calling the offense or something.
Bunch of idiots.
But, the Patriots, as much as people were doubting the Patriots, they're right outside the wild card spot. Well,
They're
probably
five
end
and
up
four right
snatching it.
now. Yeah, they're 5-4.
Unfortunately, they just have a very competitive division right now.
Yeah, they're last place and they're 5-4. I don't know. I think it's I know the Chargers are the seventh seed, but I have no faith in Brandon Staley as a coach. I think he is one of the worst coaches in the league, and he will probably get fired because of his own stupidity.
Yeah, the
Or
Chargers are
rightfully
another
fired.
team that they should win by a lot more than they really do.
Like you look at that roster and you think, how are they not like, if they're not like first in their division, how are they not a top team? And they're not. They barely beat the bad teams.
Yeah, they got blown out by the Jaguars in week 3.
Or like the game against the Browns, where Brandon Staley is going for on fourth down, and like everyone's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Just punt it away." You're supposed to have this great defense. You have to make Jacoby Brissett go like 80 yards for a touchdown or to get a field goal. Like, what are you doing? He's just lucky. Like they play such bad teams that his own incompetence doesn't screw them more often than not.
Or the one game he kicks like 5, he decides to kick 5 field goals. His kicker's like battling like a leg injury, like he's torturing him.
I don't know. I look at Brandon Staley like the Chargers don't even have a head coach. They have an AI of the analytics running the team, not Brandon Staley.
I
Because
guess we
every
should
decision he's like,
also,
"Oh, what
yeah,
do the analytics say?"
we should talk about how the NFL is trying to push this analytic thing, and it's just I don't know. It's like crack to these coaches where they just want to. Oh, what does the next gen stats say? What does Cynthia Freeland say of NFL.com or whatever? It's like, oh, it's a good recommendation, but you don't have to live by it.
I also don't know where they get these stats. Like, how do they determine the probability of making a 4th and 3? Or like you see like on those the TV commercials, it's like this guy had a 16.7% chance to catch this ball. It's like, how are you determining that?
Yeah, that doesn't
Like,
make any sense. There's so
like
many factors that could go into it.
and that's the thing of why these coaches should not trust those statistics as much, because there are so many external factors and variables that can go into a play that it's what do the numbers matter? If a guy misses his block, everything changes. Or if a guy false starts, or you get a bad call. It's like there are so many things that can go right and wrong. It's like, why even bother with the the analytics on it?
I think for football, it's definitely more unique, which is why, not really.
What?
They silenced them.
Cynthia Freeland silenced him.
Yeah. Let's see you argue the analytics on that, Craig.
Is he back?
I don't know. Who cares?
Okay, so let's just I guess let's
The
pick up what
stats
Craig was
say.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah, the
I
stats
think.
say 2 people have better
Did you guys
chance.
hear me now?
Yeah, speaking.
Yeah.
Oh, tried to get me.
As you were saying.
Wait, am I muted again?
No,
Yeah.
no one muted you.
Oh, well, I know. Like Cynthia's trying to get me. I see the red dot on my forehead. Anyway, I was trying to make the point that in football, it's a lot different than other sports. Like a pitcher is a pitcher. They're not really going to play that much differently than any other pitcher. They're just either good or they're not. In football, there's a little more nuance with the positions. You have like a slot receiver, like a red zone threat. Offensive lineman that run block better or pass block better. Like it's not exactly the same thing. Lots of players got like tiny little quirks that make it hard to have all these analytics perfectly predict and take into account things. I can remember. I mean, this is going back a decade. I remember the Namdi Asama, like the big free agent corner they signed
Yeah,
for the
Yeah.
Philadelphia Eagles. I forget if he was like a zone corner or a man corner, but the Eagles ran
man.
the opposite
He
system.
was man. Yeah.
Yeah, they ran a zone system, and that's not what he's good at. So he played terrible for them. Just because you're good at one thing doesn't mean you can plug and put people into the same thing.
But
Like that's why I
like,
don't really have
yeah.
faith in NFL analytics.
My
It
It's again,
sounds cool on paper when you see at face value, oh, this was a 16% chance they'd make the star. You're like, oh, I guess that's cool.
and I get it. Everyone wants to have any advantage they can get. I get it. I think it's useful in some situations, but like people like Brandon Staley, who are like the poster child of analytics, just look absolutely incompetent and so stupid that you like. I wonder, like, how do you get a head coaching job? Like, why I could do that? Like, I'm not stupid. I won't be making like these decisions. I could be the head coach making these decisions because like everyone seems to be disagreeing with him. Like, how do you do this?
Well, the biggest problem with these analytics is that these coaches just like foam from the mouth. When realistically, if it's ever 4th and 1, and especially if you have momentum on your side, you go for the field goal, you build points. There's almost a game they blew with the Chargers. I forget what team it was. I think it was against Denver actually, Monday Night Football. That game went in overtime. You know how it could not have gone to overtime? They settled for the field goal earlier on instead of going for a 4th down. It's these kind of like they just shoot themselves in the foot all in the name of NFL analytics. It's incredibly stupid. They should just there's nothing wrong with being conservative and building a lead and keeping momentum on your side because
You got to be able to read the game.
you
Yeah.
That's
kill
a
your
skill.
momentum if you go for a 4th down and you don't get it. It is you have to read the situation, have those social cues and whatnot. I don't know. It's just garbage. The NFL, Amazon, it's all garbage.
And like you're saying before, it's not just like crack to these coaches, but I think it's like a crutch. So like whenever they make a dumb decision following analytics, they can go to the GM, owner, executive, whoever, and say, "Why did you go for on 4th and 1 on the 1 yard line when you're up by like 20 or whatever, something stupid?" And they would say, "Well, the analytics said to go for it." And then like, I can only imagine the guys like, "Is the analytics the head coach of this team? Why are you doing that? Like, there's no like, just punt it. Just do the conventional thing. Like, there's a reason why
Do what we're
there's
paying you to
conventional
do.
wisdom.
Yeah.
Like, it's not." Always the wrong thing to do. Like you don't have to try to outsmart your I mean outsmart your point, like try to like be so ahead of the game that you're gonna think these decisions are gonna help you win. When in reality they usually bite you in the ass and you lose. It just I don't get it. Like watching as a fan, it's like I want to like smack these coaches and take away their headset.
I
But
agree.
speaking of guys who
Yeah.
go for it unnecessarily, Frank Reich got fired.
Yeah, so he got fired this past Monday. It was a day of rejoice.
That it was
So
long
this
overdue.
is so this is after the week before he very famously fired the offensive coordinator Marcus Brady, even though he wasn't calling plays and whatnot. All right, whatever. Maybe if you have a shred of hope for Frank Reich, maybe you're like, okay, Reich is gonna scheme up everything. I hate using that word, but he's gonna scheme up everything. And then you know what happens in the first quarter? They produce -2 points or -2 yards against the Patriots, and they don't convert a single 3rd down. With him calling everything, this offense is 100% his. Now, granted, offensive line has been abysmal this season. It has been absolutely terrible. You give up 30 something sacks in 9 games. That's bad. That's really bad. But he certainly didn't help himself. So we thank you for your service, Frank, and
I don't.
yeah, I don't either.
Congrats.
But yeah, whatever. You pick up your stuff and leave.
Yeah, after scapegoat Wentz, blame it on him, and then
That
they
seems like the beginning of the end when they were trying to put all their problems at the end of the year on Wentz, when in reality it was more on him and his awful play calling.
yeah, and never once did Reich consider giving up the play calling to an offensive coordinator or ever taking blame on the play calling. It was always the same broken cycle. We got to play better. We got to look at the film. Like, this is a perfect example of like when these coaches that they get too much control and they don't know what to do themselves, like Staley and stuff. Like, um, after when the Colts lost to the Titans a couple weeks ago, right? Matt Ryan threw a pick six. That was the only touchdown the Titans scored in that game. In the
Yes.
press conference, Reich said, he goes, "Oh, I take partial blame on that. Matt Ryan was at the line trying to check out, but I was arguing with an official, so I couldn't check him out of it." See, that's why you pay an offensive coordinator, so he can focus on just calling plays, while you, as a coach, you have every right to argue with a ref if they made a bad call. If you want to challenge something or call timeout, that's in your power. That's why you have coordinators to call the plays and just focus on that.
Like
And
that's
and also too, like if anyone wants to give him credit, well, he was the offense coordinator for the Eagles. Correct, he was
Doug
when they
Peterson
won
was
the
calling
Super
the
Bowl.
shots.
But Peterson was calling the plays. And it's no coincidence that the Jaguars offense has been doing way better than the Colts, and he's calling the plays.
you also look at Sirianni who left.
Yeah, Eagles offense is thriving. It's no coincidence that it's just this guy, his offense, and not only that, they got negative yards. They only got 3 points against the Patriots. They got blown out. There's no excuses. He's gone now. But it's just every week, and then also him making the statements. Blankenship's our guy. They cut him. Matt Ryan's our guy. They bench him.
Let's just quickly mention Matt Ryan because you got to feel for the guy. He was sold a bag of lies. They said, "Oh, the offensive line's great. We're gonna thrive. We're gonna help you, and you're gonna help us in Indy." And all he gets is like a sprained shoulder. He just gets absolutely beaten in all the games he's
Yeah.
played in. And you feel for the guy, and he gets benched, which I think is the right move because he's a statue. And maybe we'll talk about towards the end the landscape of the NFL quarterbacks, all that stuff. But to put succinctly right now, Matt Ryan's the last of a dying breed of those statue pocket passers. And they thought moving the kid Ellinger would be better, and it worked out for the most part against the Commanders. Yeah, take that racism.
Skins.
Yeah,
And hate.
yeah. Hate was just ended when we said Commanders. But I watched the game, and Ellinger didn't have a chance. He was just getting abused.
Well, against the Patriots, they gave up 9 sacks.
Yeah, he had no time to throw. It's like the poor guy. You feel for these people. Do the offensive line just hate everybody, and they're like, "Oh no, I'm just gonna let that guy get punished."
I also just want to bring up because a lot of the NFL media, from what I've seen, seem to be like sympathetic to the Reich firing. They're saying, "Oh, the Colts should have given him more of a chance," because they're saying, "Oh, well, the quarterback getting a new quarterback every year," which, yeah, it's a problem. But if you were to actually watch the game, you would see if Frank Reich was holding them back. Like every time he's calling them, he's like trying to go for a fourth down, a slave to the analytics,
Yeah, he was
and
another one.
the entire like everyone who's watching the game or in the stadium's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And of course, when he calls it on like
Yeah, we
an
were
aggressive
there.
call, yeah, of course, when he
Yeah.
calls like a call on fourth down, it's always like instead of let's hand off to Jonathan Taylor, right? No, let's have Matt Ryan drop back
Yeah, I was
and
against
like
the
have
Chiefs, and everyone was shouting like, "What are you doing, Frank? What are you doing?"
yeah, like
Yeah,
no,
someone had a sign that said "Run the damn ball, Frank."
yeah. So like, I feel like most NFL media figureheads, like I guess, are sympathetic to Reich, but most Colts fans are probably like us, are cheering that he's gone because he was awful. Like I don't think people realize how bad he was. Like
Because it's
because when you
also
watch highlights, it's one thing. When you are watching the game and seeing his awful decision making screw the team over and over and over again for 4+ years, you want the guy gone.
also too, it's not a coincidence that even when they had luck, and his entire tenure, the teams either always had a very fast start and a slow start. There was no in between. They were very hot and cold, and that is always a clear sign of a mediocre coach at best. It's no coincidence, that your offense. You're supposed to be an offensive guru, or that's your specialty. And this year, especially, their offense, every every game, their offense has gotten up to such a slow start. I don't think was it only one game this year that they were actually leading at halftime. That's pathetic. And their defense has done the heavy lifting and kept them in games to give them a chance.
I agree, and we don't want this. We don't want this to be like a cult podcast,
But
but
but but I was also
before
going to
we.
say the Col-
Oh, oh.
The Colts are another disappointing AFC team this year.
Well, that's already given what we're talking about. They fire a coach. That's disappointing enough. Let's just quickly talk about the move that absolutely upset all those pathetic people in the NFL media real quick. Then we'll talk about other teams. It's the Colts hired Jeff Saturday as their head coach. And when somebody said that in the group chat, I thought it was a joke. I thought they were going to have John Fox or whatever. No, they went with Jeff Saturday. And
Yeah, I was shocked too. I was like, all right, haha, real
Yeah.
funny.
and I don't know what to make of it because I get where Ursay's coming from. He wants somebody who, again, as we're saying, someone's not a slave to the NFL analytics like a Staley, like a Reich, like those other loser coaches. He wants like an outside perspective right now, and it's only interim head coach. He's not hiring him for the rest of the season and for the rest of next season. It's interim. So all those Steve Weishes, those people,
Let's just say that racists, because they are.
they're just morons. And I like how Ursay pretty much doubled down because I watched the press conference. He doubled down on everything, and that just made people even more mad. And Ursay doesn't care. Everyone can complain to Ursay. He does not care. He's doing what he thinks is best. And we'll get off the topic of Steve Weish, but they're attacking the wrong owner, a guy who successfully hired Tony Dungy and Jim Caldwell. You're coming after the wrong guy.
But again, it's not. They don't look about that. It's all about what have you done for me lately? Because again, let's be honest, they're racist. That's all they care about. But at least to go back to Jeff Saturday,
Yes.
I don't hate the decision either, because it's like, what do you have to lose? John Fox. We know what he's going to do. He's
Yeah,
not.
you
He's
know
an
what you're
okay
going to
head
get
coach.
out of a John Fox, a Gus Bradley.
Like, why not? Why not roll the dice on a Jeff Saturday?
Yeah, your season's already like lost.
You're not going to catch anybody. You're looking towards next year. Let's again roll the dice. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, oh well. At least you tried.
Well, also too, I was thinking like Jeff Saturday is beloved in Indy. He's if you've seen him on the talk, he's on the talk
ESPN.
shows. He was an analyst. He was doing like
He's
high
still on
school
billboards.
Yeah, he was on billboards in Indiana.
Yeah, yeah, he's doing like I think he was also doing like high school coaching in Georgia. But so I can see the approach to it where they're trying to get maybe because not only has this Colts team like they have no identity this year, like they're not a run team, they're not a pass team, they have no identity. They just look flat. They don't look like they have heart or anything. So maybe bringing in a guy like Jeff Saturday, who was a leader when he was playing, and also a very good player in the
It
Colts
wasn't a Corey
offense.
Redding.
Yeah, but maybe Ursay's mindset is him as an offensive line guy. Maybe he can do something to help fix this offensive line problem. Get that perspective in there. He's not going to be calling the plays, so he's not going to be directly interfering with offense or defense. And then two, if he's a likable guy, maybe you can actually unite the locker room and get some passion and heart behind this team at least. Instead of just them coming out flat every game. Like they look like they had nothing. So again, it's a temporary move for right now. It's who knows, he might keep a job if the Colts can at least show something. But yeah, I mean, I don't hate the move. You just kind of have to see what it is. But I get Ursay's perspective is just kind of like you're saying, roll the dice. He's beloved. Maybe he can get the team back on track or get some heart in them.
Yeah, because Reich, we're obviously outsiders. It seemed like he lost the locker room. It seemed like no one cared because every week it was the same thing. Like Naheem Hines got traded a couple weeks ago. He wanted to be out. He requested to be traded because he was just tired of all this nonsense. And I don't blame the guy. I'd be upset too if I was in that locker room, just hearing the same stock answers.
Everything was, we got to go back and watch the tape. Hey asshole, you're coaching the game. You can't see it, like see what's wrong live. Like seriously, you're an idiot. Like, good riddance. Anyway.
Yeah, so we'll leave the last couple remarks with Saturday. Hopefully, there's more passion because he, like we said, we watched him. He's a leader, and maybe he can get the best out of his players. Let's move on to. Are we still sticking in the AFC? Let's
I was gonna say like
Steelers. Do you want to talk about the Steelers, Craig? I know you like them so much.
Yeah.
No, I'm happy the Steelers are losing just because it's not like I'm an anti-Steelers fan. I'm just more of like watching them the past couple years. Like even now, like they just kind of like linger in games and they play awful, but they still manage to win some games. It's not nice to see. So it's nice to see that they're stick a fork in them.
What team do you want to talk about, Craig?
Well,
So
Colin, you're not going to defend your favorite coach, Mike Tomlin?
Ah, God.
so we
No,
got the
I'm okay.
Jets are a big surprise, which
6-3, and they just beat the Bills.
very very surprising. I mean,
More or less, the Bills
The
beat
Bills,
themselves. Yeah.
Josh Allen beat the Bills.
yeah. I mean,
I'm,
I still won't hold out hope they make the playoffs just because you've got the Patriots lingering right behind them. They still have a couple of tough
The
divisional games
Dolphins are
left.
right behind the Jets too.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
how,
it looks good
how
for the
is
Jets.
that
I could,
division so competitive?
Yeah,
yeah,
once
right.
Brady leaves, he's like sucking all the energy out of the teams. Once he leaves, everyone's good now.
Yeah, then he goes to the division that's like the worst in the league. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, what was
Yeah.
that? One of you showed the tweet. It was the Patriots are 5-4, tied. They're in third place or last place
They're
in their
last in the
division,
division of 5-4.
and the Bucks are 4-5, and they're tied for first. Such a
No,
joke.
they are first because they have the tiebreaker
Oh
over the
yeah, they have the
Cardinals.
tiebreaker over the yeah.
Yeah, for
That's such
the
that's
It's
such a
garbage.
joke.
Yeah, it's garbage, but
be a bad call. Everyone knows it. And the best part too is Tom. Tom he asked for the call, so I don't want to hear that he didn't ask for it. He asked for it.
Well,
We'll get to that
Craig.
later.
He said he doesn't make the calls. Okay, get off
Yeah,
of him.
whatever. You
He has
only
seven
asked
rings.
for it.
7 rings.
Yeah,
gosh,
whatever. When I was one less. But yeah, the rest of the AFC is
One
basically
less family.
how we kind of predicted. Yeah, the Bills, Chiefs, Ravens, and
Ravens.
Titans are
Yeah.
still dominating. Not
I
much
guess another
surprise.
disappointing team. I mean, I knew the Bengals weren't going to do what they did last year, but some of the games too were just a bunch of poor performances. They got pecker smacked by the Browns.
I mean, it's really just like their division. They're 0-3 in their own division. They're getting like they lost to the Steelers week 1.
Yeah, that I mean, that was just a slop. That was the one where he threw 4 picks or something, right? They had like 5 turnovers, 4 picks.
Yeah, it was a real tough scene.
And then yeah, Craig, you were saying, "Oh my God, the Steelers just can't die."
Yeah, because I watched them. Like they play so bad. So, I mean, more so on offense. They obviously play good defense, but their offense is like a train wreck. It is so awful and so hard to watch, but they will always stay in
Mike
games.
Mike Tomlin will do whatever it takes to not have a losing record.
Well,
No,
he's
not
close
this
to that
year.
already. He's 2-6. Do you want to anything else on the AFC?
I mean, when it comes to predicting the playoffs, I don't think the Chargers are going to make it. I think they'll find a way to blow it because Braden Staley is incompetent and probably should be lobotomized.
Oh,
I think the Patriots or the Bengals will jump them, but
I
the
think
rest will probably be the same.
I think the Bengals they're gonna creep in.
yeah. For their sake, I think the
Because
Dolphins will
the
sneak in.
Bengals are
I don't think the Jets are going to make it. They're going to have like a collapse. Zach Wilson is just going to poo his pants uncontrollably.
He's going to be seeing ghosts again.
Yeah. But obviously the Chiefs. I mean,
Chiefs and Bills will
here's
still.
the predicament the Chargers find themselves in. They don't make the playoffs again. What does that say about Josh? Is it Josh Herbert, right?
Justin.
Justin. I don't know why I said Josh. Josh Allen, probably. If Justin Herbert and that Chargers team doesn't make the playoffs, what does that say about him? Because a lot of the games he underperforms in,
I mean,
especially games, games on the line. Yes, we talked about Brand Staley being a complete idiot, but still, Herbert doesn't help himself in some of these situations.
no, I mean you got a point, but like if you just get a better coach in there, you can help manage the game better.
I don't know. I just
Because I wonder, like, what's their game planning? Is it just analytics based? Like, oh, this team didn't do well against these kinds of plays based on next gen stats. We're going to run these exact plays no
according
matter
to Next
what.
Gen Stats, this team had a 8% deficiency against the run or something.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I think you need just you need to get a new coaching staff for the Chargers because again, even if you make the playoffs, you're losing to the first team you play. They're not making a run. Brandon Staley is too incompetent. He holds the team back. He's got like a stranglehold on the team's like potential.
I think like owners need to like revisit the idea of giving control to these coaches.
I mean, he's the head coach. It's just he's a horrible head coach. That's
No, I
the
mean
problem.
no, I mean control in the sense of like calling a game. Like you have coordinators for a reason. You know what I mean? Like you
I mean,
can suggest plays and stuff, but like it's the head coach, are basically the GM on the field. Like you have other things. Like you have to look at the big game. The whole game as a perspective. Like I don't know. It's also, I mean, like they should have to like almost like prove themselves. It's like they just give these guys like, oh, he's young and calls an offense. He's a guru. Let's give him the
He
plays.
has a cool haircut.
Yeah, he wears hats.
like that's why I'm
He
kind of
gets his
against
eyebrows done.
head coaching
Yeah,
play
puts
callers.
puts gel in his hair.
Yeah,
That's
'cause-
why I'm against head coaching play callers. Usually they don't work out. Like you think it's because you can, as a head coach, you got more to manage for a game. You got to worry about, the other side of the ball, which people think you don't have to do.
That's what I'm
maybe
saying. It's
like
like a
head coach, yeah, offensive play callers. Because usually, sometimes the head coach defensive play callers aren't too shabby. I mean, I know Belichick did that one year in 2019. But even Belichick, he lets his coordinators do their thing. He can rally. He can bring the team together. He always has his team prepared.
I mean, has there ever been like the Bill Walsh call plays? I'm trying to think. Has there ever been like a goat head coach that called plays? Besides like maybe Andy Reid. Even
Did
then, he's like a lower goat.
did Bill Walsh call his plays? I know he came up with the West Coast scheme, but I don't know if he was calling the plays.
Well, I'm gonna say I don't think so, but I never saw him with like I don't see any. I don't know any footage of him like calling plays. But point is, great coaches tend to not call plays, and I think most head coaches shouldn't call plays unless they're like very talented at it, like Andy Reid.
Or Adam Gase.
Or Adam
Yes.
Gase. Or Adam Gase. Ben McAdoo. He was another winner. Any quick final thoughts about the AFC, maybe, or any other teams? Oh, Daniel, you said Bill Walsh did call his plays. You looked it up.
Yeah, it said he called like basically all of the plays.
Huh.
There you go.
Because usually they show like the NFL films. I don't.
But again,
I wasn't
it's
a
Bill.
I'm not a Niners fan.
He's he's in a different category. Like he's like you could argue like top 5 coach of maybe 3 coach of all time. Again, it's an exception.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the point still stands. Most coaches don't. Most successful coaches don't. Like even I don't know other top coaches in the league like Pete Carroll or John Harbaugh don't call plays.
What maybe like Andy Reid,
I'm saying he's like the only one I could think of that's like famous for calling his own plays.
but yeah, again, he's proven his success. Just
Yeah.
maybe not in the postseason as much, but he's proven his success.
Yeah, he's not as a schmuck in the regular season.
But speaking of Andy Reid, his former team is 8-0.
Oh, so
Kind of surprising.
Jumping to the NFC. Now, Dano, I know you have a lot to say about the Philadelphia Eagles. I know that much.
Listen, man, they're 8-0. They're winning right now. Like I've just said, the only they're I mean they're they're the most complete team in the NFC. I've had discussions on Jalen Hurts as a quarterback with other people, on whether he is actually elite or a good thrower, which I'm still not impressed. I just it's a concern looking for the Eagles, even though go blue baby. It's setting up for them to like they're going to get to the playoffs, get a first round bye, and they get knocked out. Probably by a divisional opponent, hopefully the Giants. But
Yeah, right.
keep doubting them, Craig. Keep doubting them.
I will. They'll keep proving me wrong, and I'll be okay with that.
Yeah. Well, but then you can't wear a jersey when they win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll still win, so.
But yeah, listen, they're 8-0.
Probably the best team in football. It's just,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm not sold on it yet because I know they've had a relatively easier schedule.
I mean, to
Um,
me, it's just like these kinds of like athletic quarterbacks. I really don't trust to win Super Bowls or many playoff games because if you look at these past Super Bowls for a long stretch now, the athletic quarterback really doesn't make it to the Super Bowl or even have much success in the postseason.
I'd say the Eagles right now, they're very reminiscent of the 2015 Panthers, where everyone's laughing, everyone looks like they're having a good time, they're mostly dominating their games. But all they need is just one game to not go their way, and they'll. I mean, we saw it with the Panthers. I'm not saying this will happen to the Eagles, but with the Panthers, one game that didn't go their way, what happened to be the Super Bowl, and then they melted down.
yeah, and that's what I think is it's like setting up for the Eagles. It's they're cruising through the regular season, and then they're gonna get that first round bye, like it happened to the Ravens when they were 15-1, and they
14
faced
and
the
two,
I thought they were 15-1.
14 and two.
No.
Oh. Um, and then they got the bye week and they got ice cold and the Titans just steamrolled them.
It's
And
like that too. Just like in the postseason, like game, throws are tighter. It's a lot harder.
yeah, you're
Your
playing
teams are
against
bringing
better.
their absolute best.
Yeah,
And again,
and
these
that and,
athletic quarterbacks, just they aren't the best when it comes to decision
and that
making.
and that's like with Jalen Hurts when I've had these discussions, and I've had Eagles fans like, oh, he's making good throw. I'm like, listen, the concern for him is he's also a one read guy. So what happens in the postseason when they play a legit defense that makes him have to actually go through his progressions, and they can keep him in the pocket and he has to stand in and actually make a tight 20-yard throw. He hasn't shown that really. If you look at his highlights, it's like the guys, it's AJ Brown running down the field, wide open, or he makes a ridiculous catch over three people, or it's check downs, check downs, check downs. And also too, it's like, I proposed this one question. I was like, if he didn't have his mobility, would you be confident in him as a thrower? And the fan said no. I go, well, can you really say he's a good thrower then? If you take away his mobility, can you trust him to stand in the pocket and deliver? So I'm not hating on Jalen Hurts. I just haven't been shown anything that truly impresses me, or I can be like, yeah, this guy is like the real deal. And it's the same thing too with like against the it's really a more general statement on this new generation of quarterbacks that they rely too much on their mobility instead of developing their passing skills. Because look at Josh Allen. And I said this before. I said he's still not a good thrower. I just
But
he
he
has an
can throw the
accuracy.
ball pretty hard, Daniel.
Yeah, good for him. You can throw it really hard at the other team. But again, like the Jets did a good job containing. They actually they did a good forcing him to throw like the tough throws, and he shit his pants. He has an accuracy problem. Sure you can scramble and throw it 50 yards to wide open Stephon Diggs. Congratulations. But he hasn't shown me anything that's that impressive. Or same with like Mahomes. Oh, he did a no look pass, but the guy's wide open. Anyone can do a no look pass. It's just this. I don't mean to go on a tangent, but this whole new generation of quarterbacks, none of them are really that good of actual throwers. They all rely too much on their mobility and backyard football.
Well, with Lamar too. What was the Titans' game plan in 2019? Cover the middle and you make Lamar throw those tight outside throws, and Lamar could not do it. He made a terrible interception the second time, and seems to be a lot of the strategy for beating these mobile quarterbacks. Is that you just
Make
make
him
them.
throw at the ball.
Well, not even that. You make them make these tight window throws, and a lot of times they can't. Even Lamar, everyone sings Lamar's praises, and he's a very good athlete. Don't get me wrong, but as a quarterback, there's always some of those throws. You're just like, what was that? Like,
We
you
also
know?
to me that's why I say like I don't have much faith in like the Eagles for postseason success, just because again these guys don't have the success to give you hope that they might actually win. Like even like look
Well,
at last year's Super Bowl. You got Burrow and Stafford. Tom keeps winning and he's a statue. So like you don't need these athletic quarterbacks. In fact, usually it's the opposite. The more unathletic you are, the tends to be more postseason success because they're the ones that actually develop their passing
Yeah,
skills.
they're the ones that can make those tight throws when the game is on the line. I mean, Craig, since you're a Giants fan, there's the Eli throw in the Super Bowl. A nice tight window throw he
Which
threw the
one?
sideline to Manningham. Like, do you think Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts could make that throw?
Absolutely not.
Like, what a throw that was. He fitted in and whatnot.
Or like or remember the Niners Chiefs Super Bowl, right? Mahomes' big play was Tyreek Hill was behind the defense, wide open down the field. All those tight window throws, he threw 2 picks on tight window throws.
Yeah, Mahomes played in both the Super Bowls. He played terrible. He
I mean,
was
at least
lucky.
the second one.
Yeah, the second one, the offensive line was just getting absolutely abused. So I'll say this about the Eagles. There's a video from NFL Throwback YouTube channel, and pretty much what they're saying is that NFL history isn't kind to the last remaining undefeated team. So since 2000, at least since the year 2000. So on the Eagles, I'll just end it by saying that.
Like I said, call me a bitter Giants fan. I'm not even bitter. Like I'm on the cloud 9, to be honest, but I don't really see them having much success, just based on historical trends.
And for the most part, I mean, I know they played a couple of playoff teams from last year, but they beat the Steelers with that rookie who's thrown like 8-9 picks. It's not the same. They really haven't played a good team. They played Dallas, but that was when they had Cooper Rush. And, we're not big Dallas people. I'm not a fan of Dak. But he's better than whatever Cooper Rush is. So the next time they play Dallas, will be more competitive because at least Dak can stay in the game.
I guess that's the other thing too, real quick. Like people keep saying they're going to run the table and go undefeated. Like I just don't see that happening. I see them easily dropping a game to, maybe the Titans, Giants, or Cowboys. I don't see them running the table. And it's not even like to be cruel. Just those are like I guess the top teams they play.
Twice.
They got to play the
Dallas
Commanders?
again.
They have to play the Commanders.
Yeah, play the Skins next week. They got the Packers, Colts, Titans, Giants twice, Bears, Cowboys, and Saints.
I mean, Commander games, both those Skin games are going to be close. Commanders are not a good team, but they are competitive.
It's also a divisional opponent. You can't ever just expect a divisional game to go easy.
Titans are, we make fun of Ryan Tannehill and that, but the Titans are a very good team. They're very well coached. They're always disciplined pretty well. They're a good team. And even the Bears, too. The Bears isn't exactly an easy one.
That's why I don't see them running the table. It's not even just like to make fun of them, but it's like most teams don't. You're gonna get you're gonna have some off week. Someone's gonna catch you on, and they're gonna beat you. Like it's anything bad. Like going 15-1 is still an achievement. It's more of just you're not gonna run the table, or 16-1, whatever.
Well, also too with Washington, now that they have Heineke, they can actually like throw down the field.
He's terrible.
He at least poses more of a passing threat than Wentz.
I don't agree with that, actually.
So I guess let's talk about the Giants then, who are
probably the biggest surprise
right now, completely surprising everybody. They're in their division, unfortunately,
at 6-2.
At 6-2. But yeah, the Giants they're winning the close games and they're closing it out. That's all you could ask for.
That's why I'm on cloud 9, because this season was supposed to be a wash. This was supposed to be like just a season you get through, fix the salary cap, and reload for next year. But the fact they're winning games with such minimal talent is very exciting.
And they're competitive too, and they make the plays when they need to. The Ravens, they blew like a 10-point lead or something. Like in all these games, the Giants have been down by 10 points or something in all these games.
Well, they're a second half team.
Hey, that's better than being a first half team.
Better than the Colts are a no half team.
Yeah, because I know some people are trying to they're mad at the GM for not making moves to the deadline. Like this season again is supposed to be a lost cause. It's great that they're winning games, but this is all about fixing the team for next year.
This is also a season you can build upon where player morale is high. Like, hey, we're actually competitive. We're actually kind of
no
good.
talent. We literally
Yeah,
have
with
practice squad receivers.
minimum talent and Kenny Galladay
And,
getting free cardio out there. Like, geez,
and you
man, imagine we
still
could
and
do
you
it with
still
a more talented team next year.
yeah, and an actual quarterback. I mean, they still got to fix Daniel Jones's, get rid of him and bring in a real quarterback.
It's funny because people try to act like I guess my quick defense of Daniel Jones looked good his rookie year. Next 2 years had to suffer under Jason Garrett running the most awful offense that he could run with that talent, running that offense into the ground. That's why it looks so bad. Now that he has somebody who isn't like mentally deficient running the offense, he actually looks good again with minimal talent.
And
I
also
think it's
Saquon's healthy too. The past couple
yeah,
of years, Daniel Jones hasn't had the consistency at running back.
no offensive line, no receivers. All he had, it's him and Saquon and Andrew Thomas. So I think it's an easy. You sign him, you keep him. Some people are saying to dump him because people like Dan Orlovsky, who
Oh yeah, we all know
remember hearing
how.
at the back of the end zone.
Yeah, we all know how highly regarded Dan Orlovsky is in NFL history.
I
Oh,
still say,
geez.
he doesn't put up big numbers.
Careful what you say, Craig. He'll hear you with those ears and he'll flap his way over there.
Thanks, Dumbo.
His ears are radar dishes.
Yeah, he's the Jones doesn't put up big numbers. I'm like, well, yeah. Again, the receivers are literally will be on everyone's practice squad. So
yeah, Dan Orlovsky had Calvin Johnson to throw to, and he still lost all of his games. Like, it means nothing, Dan. You clown.
I think it's a good season. They probably won't win a playoff game. If we're lucky, they might win one, but make the playoffs, build hope for next year, and try to make a more serious run next year if you re-sign key players like Jones.
I do want to correct
Cloud nine.
I do want to correct Craig's statement of saying Daniel Jones never had any receivers. He did have Pro Bowler Evan Ingram.
That's very true.
Right.
Very true.
It was like, how many drops did he have? Probably more drops than touchdowns.
Definitely did. So, the Green Bay Packers and the Vikings. Man, the Vikings are 7-1. What a crazy.
I mean, I was going to say, speaking of like playoff disappointments, there'll probably be one just because that's what the Vikings historically are. Not to be cruel, but
if the Vikings play all of their playoff games at 1 p.m., I think they'll be okay.
Primetime Cousins, baby.
I mean, like they're winning. The Vikings are winning close games. I mean, the only loss is to the top seed in their own conference, which not the worst thing to happen, right?
Yeah, they're flying under the radar as a 7-1 team. Like it's like they don't. It's like it's weird to say the Vikings are a top team.
I mean, I guess we'll see how good they are because like their next couple of games are the Bills, Cowboys, Patriots, and Jets. So we'll see really how good they actually are. I mean, if they can beat those teams, there's definitely more hope for them.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they aren't like they don't feel like a 7-1 team. It's weird to say that, but they just I don't know. It's
like the Giants. All their games are close games. They're not like blowing teams out. They're always like coming back and winning. Which again, just win, baby. But I can see that's why people think that.
Yeah, and then the Packers might be the biggest disappointment in the NFC next to the Rams.
Yes.
I think we're all expecting, I guess, the Packers offense to struggle, but like I didn't think it'd be this bad. Like people want to put the blame on Rodgers, but those receivers aren't helping.
Yeah, well, it's not even in person too. How bad those receivers are, just dropping everything.
I wouldn't even say the receivers are necessarily the biggest culprit. I think it's Matt LaFleur.
Well, I've always had the stance he's not a good head coach. I mean, this is only proving my point.
And like Colin just said, we saw it live. They ran the same 3 plays.
It was getting very frustrating.
About 3.5 quarters, and then when they stopped, they went outside the 3-play selection. They actually moved the ball.
Well, that was like it's like the end of the game where you kind of have to like force chunk plays. Even then, they struggled because the receivers aren't that great.
Yeah, but the Matt LaFleur is another one. Like I know everyone's gonna be like, oh, he has like the best first 3 seasons as a head coach, but you saw in the playoffs.
He made absolutely one of the dumbest decisions a coach can make in the championship game with the game on the line. They were down by 8, and then he decided to kick a field goal. Are you high?
Yeah. See, like that's like when you can't teach that. You can't train someone to do that. That person's just not head coach material. If they make decisions like that, they're a lost cause. I think you almost have to fire them just on the spot because of stuff.
Hold on. The analytics might have said it's better to kick the field goal.
Oh, right. That analytics is the head coach of the team, not Matt LaFleur. Got it.
Forgot.
See that, but that's the head coach. But that's what we were talking about before. It's like read the terrain, understand the game situation. Like that is when you go
If
for it.
you
Your
don't
season's on the
like,
line.
not
It's the
not to
playoffs.
talk too much about that game, but if you don't get it, you pin the Buccaneers. You pin them pretty much. If you don't get that 4th and goal, it's just absolutely mind-boggling that that guy still has uh, the head coaching job.
I mean, they probably won't fire him just because,
Oh
again,
no,
he'll
of
point
course not.
to,
They'll point
I
to
got
his
my
record.
success.
You'll have to wait till Jordan Love comes in and their offense completely shits its pants, like
Well,
even worse than
that's why
this.
they gave Rodgers that huge extension because they saw what they had with Jordan Love and like, oh my God, he is not the future. Why did we waste this first round draft pick when we were trying to make a run for the Super Bowl on
Yeah.
a backup quarterback?
Can we just talk about how terrible the Packers management is?
Yeah, I don't think they're drafting all that well. I mean, I can't think of any
You
like
don't
players
think they
that
are?
stand
It's
out.
because they're not drafting well.
Well, I want to give the caveat like I'm not a Packers fan, I don't pay attention, but like just a casual observer. I'm like, all their best players are like Rodgers and like free agency signings are players who are like 10 years old or 10 years playing in the league.
Do they have the same GM as they did like 10 years ago?
No, they got some new guy, which is funny because they got rid of the guy who drafted well because he wouldn't sign any free agency players. Now they guess the guy who does free agency but doesn't draft well.
Yeah, this new
Real
guy's been the
conundrum.
GM since 2018.
I mean, you talk about a franchise that has wasted like arguably like two top 10 quarterbacks of all time.
I
Like
mean,
the talent they had, that team they should have had more than two Super Bowls in 20 years.
you look up like Mike McCarthy and
Well,
Matt LaFleur.
I would say
I think
Rodgers definitely had the better team and he had a better situation than Favre. Because when Favre was winning those MVPs, he was going up against like the top teams in the NFC,
yeah, the
the
Cowboys and the
Dallas and the
Niners.
Niners.
Yeah, no, true. True. I mean, I would say Rodgers just had the better offensive
No,
firepower.
Rodgers is a
But
better player than Favre.
oh yeah, no,
And I'm a
no.
big
But I'm
Favre
saying,
homer guy. I love Favre, but it's facts. Rodgers is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
yeah.
Yeah, real tough scene. I mean, I don't know if he'll even come back next year with these awful receivers.
No, the Colts will probably take him. He's old enough.
Well, Frank Reich's gone. They don't need to go through the quarterback carousel again.
Yeah, but this, as a casual observer of the Packers, like Craig said, their GM is just absolutely terrible.
Like, I don't know what these draft. I mean, again,
Did they
I
make
don't
the
follow
other
it
Packers
closely.
GM retire?
I thought they forced them out, but I don't remember.
Why'd they do
It's
that?
Ted Thompson, right?
Uh, that's what I thought it was. Yeah, Ted Thompson.
What year? What year did they do that?
After 2017,
Oh, he's dead. Oh my
he
god.
died. Oh wow, he did.
Yeah, maybe that's why he retired.
Oh, rest in peace.
I thought they forced him out because, whoops.
I mean,
There's
I
probably a health issue.
guess.
Let's assume, like why he was moved out.
Probably. Anyway,
Well,
new guy not doing his job.
yes, but Ted Thompson was a very good GM for the Packers because I'm looking at his resume right now. Devontae Adams, Randall Cobb, Clay Matthews, Jermichael Finley, who was a very good tight end until he almost got paralyzed. Jordy Nelson, James Jones, Greg Jennings, AJ Hawk, Nick Collins, and Rogers.
I want to say though, real quick, like
Yes.
how awful that Devontae Adams trade has been for both sides. Packers look
Yes.
awful because they have no receivers, and then the Raiders, yeah, they have them, but they're not winning games. So what's the difference?
Yeah. I mean, if imagine what Devontae Adams is thinking right now. He's like, I left Rogers in Green Bay to be with this guy that I played with in college, and we're worse than Green Bay. Like for his own validation, they just have to do better than the Packers, and they're not even doing that.
Because he's putting up numbers that are fine, but like if you're not winning games, what's the point? Like he's probably he wants to win a ring. Probably, I don't think he cares about stats at this point.
Yeah, yeah, Colin. Yeah, Colin. What do you guys say to defend your boy Derek Carr
He's
now?
not my boy. I don't like him. So should we talk
You
about?
sure? I could have sworn you have the
You
same
shut
eye
up.
when you're saying.
Let's talk about, I guess, the Niners because a couple weeks ago they traded for Christian McCaffrey, who's all of a sudden healthy now, even though he steps on He steps on wood and he breaks his
Don't
arm.
forget, not just trade. They traded like I think the rest of their almost draft class this year to get him.
Yeah,
Or
the
this upcoming
Niners are
year.
in a weird position right now because they're starting Jimmy G because Trey Lance broke his foot or he had some lower leg injury that he's out for the whole season. So now they have to use Jimmy G,
And now they're
almost
trying to
like
make a run at it.
reluctantly, even though they tried to get him out of there.
Yeah, I don't know. Ever since they lost the Super Bowl, they're trying to like scapegoat him for all their problems. Like when Kyle Shanahan could call a better game, they would have won the Super Bowl. But besides the point,
Kyle Shanahan could be a 2-time Super Bowl champ if he just
They also
ran the
just made
ball.
the NFC Championship last year with Jimmy G too.
yeah, I don't know. Like
Well, you see,
the
Daniel, it's in
scapegoating.
spite of Jimmy G.
It's just he's too handsome for them to handle.
Yeah, I think it's jealousy.
Yeah, that Italian stud is just too much for Kyle Shanahan too. I don't know. But the NFC West, besides the Seahawks, have been a big disappointment. I don't remember if we said this, but I was thinking the NFC West would be a highly contested division because the Cardinals they're a mess, but they at least can win games and whatnot. That's not the
They
case
can put
this
up
year.
points.
That's not the
At
case
least they
this. Yeah, they
used
put up
to.
203 points, but also gave up 241. The Rams, like what? McVay must be like pulling out his gel slicked up
Well,
hair out.
this is their penance for cheating the salary cap and rigging the Super Bowl.
Those are some claims you're laying right there.
I mean,
Very
it's not only
poorly
that too. It's
officiated Super Bowl.
it's also like their whole strategy. Like this is the consequences of it. If they didn't, if they get their Super Bowl under an asterisk last year, I mean, this is the consequence of like no drafting. You need young blood for a team to keep it going. Like you can't have aging veterans. I mean, people tried that
No,
in the '70s and didn't work. Why do you think it's going to work now?
no, you need a young, sexy coach with gel in his hair and cheating the salary cap, Craig. That's what you need.
But not
And
only
you
that,
need.
like
Oh yeah, Craig, you go. Then I'll say what I was gonna say.
it does like the players. Like you keep drafting players because like I don't know what he has against his running backs, but they don't have a great running game because he like they ran Todd Gurley out of town. He I guess hates Darrell Henderson now. He hates Cam Akers and hates Darrell Henderson. Like the way he treats his running backs is kind of disgusting. Like makes me hate him for that.
Sounds like an angry fantasy owner.
I mean,
Well,
it's not even just that, but like he legitimately hates his running backs. Like I don't know what he has his
all I'm gonna
problem is.
say is that for Stafford, Stafford is a racist. He only throws to Cooper Cup, and it is disgusting to watch. Jim
Yeah,
Trotter, Steve Weiss, where are you? Call this out.
yeah.
Or was it, like the only other receiver that he throws who's like the other white receiver who looks like
No,
Cooper
he,
Cup.
the white
Skoronki, number 18.
the white tight end. Higbee.
Stafford is racist, and this has to be addressed. This is absolutely terrible. And obviously, we're joking, but my God, Stafford, throw it to somebody else that's not Cup. You pay Allen Robinson all this money, and he's just standing there like a statue, just looking around like, what am I supposed to do? Cooper Cup's a good player. We know that. But he doesn't have to get like 15 catches a game. And you still lose. It's not like he's making all these plays and you win. You still lose. At least spread the ball around.
Because again, their whole strategy of again not drafting, it doesn't work out long term. They really shouldn't have the success they've had. It wasn't the NFL trying to help them make Super Bowls and stuff like the Saints when they shouldn't have made. Like this is why you build through the draft. You need good young players because they're cheaper, and if you're drafting well, you can always hopefully find the next young player if your star talent ever gets hurt. Like
I'm
The
imagine
gonna
if they got
Seahawks
hit
made
by the
two
injury
Super
bug.
Bowls and almost won
I'm
the
gonna
second one.
I'm gonna make a prediction about the Rams. They're gonna be the new Saints. They cheated for their one Super Bowl, and for the next decade, they're gonna feel the penance of it.
Well, also too because the NFL like they screwed over St. Louis. They there's a lot of stuff with their stupid stadium and moving to LA and their
Yeah.
penance and also there's about the Rams. The best part about it is they spend all this money moving to LA, build this fancy stadium. It's like $5 billion, whatever, and they can't ever get a home game.
Yeah. And
I don't again
it's not even like, oh, they're playing Dallas or San Francisco who travel well. No, Stafford has to use a silent count for home games.
every home game.
That is
The opening
horrible.
week against the Bills, they had to do with the silent count because the Bills sold out that stadium more than the Rams fans.
That has to be so embarrassing and so terrible on the NFL's part. Like, we funded these clowns. I mean, they wanted it, but we gave these guys a $5 billion stadium, and you can't even sell it out?
to your own home fans. Like, I remember
Well,
the NFC Championship game was a Niners
It was a
home
Niners
game.
game, yeah.
well, there's only so many celebrities that they can give tickets to.
Oh yeah, especially like this is like the biggest worry too. Like, and that was when the Rams were doing well. Like now, if the Rams struggle and like they're gonna be like a bottom feeder team, like what's gonna happen to those fans that don't show up? I mean,
McVay's going to
probably.
jump ship because
Oh, he's gonna jump. He's gonna do like a Sean Payne. The moment the team starts to like do bad, he's gonna jump ship. I already foresee it happening.
Do Pete Carroll with USC.
Well, that's a little different reason for jumping ship. Yeah, like Sean McPayne. I lost Drew Brees. The team's not doing too well. All right, bye. We were at salary caps in trouble. All right, see you guys. That's your problem, not mine.
yeah, it's a giant mess. Let's talk about the Cardinals real quick. And
Kingsbury's getting fired.
he's probably going to get fired. What are you going to do with Kyler? You're stuck with this guy, and
Make him watch film.
Yeah. Besides that, he's probably playing
Take away his
new
Xbox
Modern
or his
Warfare
PC
2. Yeah.
It's like a child. Like, stop playing video games and do your homework.
And stop running like an angry toddler.
They're another team that just like this is people always don't understand how important coaching is. A good coach could get the most out of the Cardinals, but they're 3-6. A good coach knows how to get these players to work well, and
They have talent. I mean, they should be winning more games.
Cliff Kingsbury is not that.
He's going to go back to college, and we'll never hear from him again. Thank God.
I mean, we're talking about the disappointments, but the biggest shock is the Seahawks. No one would have thought they would have done.
And how good does that make Pete Carroll look? Where everyone was like, "Oh, he was a product of Russell Wilson," but as soon as that tool bag leaves, they're 6-3 with Geno Smith. Like, what is this?
He might get comeback player of the year.
I mean, he should.
Yeah,
I would vote for him.
Geno Smith is playing really well, and you're kind of happy for the guy. He's playing well, and the Seahawks are playing very good football.
Pete Carroll's chewing even more gum.
Yeah, Pete Carroll's in his 70s, and he's still chewing gum.
I want to bring this back to the Russell Wilson thing because people, Russell Wilson, this last few years was wanted to be traded, let Russ cook. He wanted to open up the playbook. People were saying, no, Pete Carroll, he doesn't want it. He wants to do Pete ball. He wants to run the ball. He doesn't want to let Russ cook. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's too old. The game has outlived him, whatever, blah, blah, blah. This year he looks like a genius. He was hiding Russell Wilson's deficiencies because he's like, not that Russell Wilson can't cook. It's like he's so bad. We can't let him cook. What are you doing? We know him more than you.
That's what I'm saying. How good does Pete Carroll look this year?
No, I agree because people are saying let Russ cook, all that nonsense.
But it also shows, to the point Colin was making, the difference in coaching. He's able to take Geno Smith, with this mediocre to lower tier defense, and he's able to.
They're playing better too. I mean, they're stepping up.
And this is Geno Smith we're talking about. It's not like he was some former All-Pro, even Pro Bowl level quarterback. He was a laughing stock. His jaw got broken, and the team made the playoffs without him. He was a laughing stock. Now here he is, 6-3, playing really well. No one expected.
And their starting running back went down too.
You can have Kenneth Walker 5 or the 5th, whatever his name is.
Yeah, so it shows the importance of actually good coaching
and good drafting because you don't get this kind of success by trading all your draft picks. You need the young blood there. Look, they probably had the offensive rookie of the year in Kenneth Walker there.
But Craig, they gave up their first round pick for Jalen Ramsey. Okay.
Look where it's got them 3-5, and going to miss the playoffs after NFL fixing games for them. But go back to Pete Carroll. Yeah, probably argue coach of the year. I'd probably give it to Dayball. Bit of a homer, but I think he's easily.
They'd probably give it to Sirianni.
See, I don't know. Just because the best record doesn't mean you deserve it.
I mean, but if they're steamrolling, they're probably going to give it to him. Even though I would argue, like you said, Dayball or Pete Carroll.
What about the Vikings guy?
Well, no one seems to give him credit, so
that's true.
I mean, and he's had to work with Kirk Cousins.
He's running around shirtless with gold chains.
All right, so let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the terrible NFC South.
I was going to say, it is a crime against humanity that Tom Brady gets to luck into a division that's no team has a winning record, and he's in first place because of that.
And Craig,
It's really gross.
you're neglecting the fact that how he got in first place was because of a terrible roughing the passer call against the Falcons when they played the Buccaneers. That
You know,
it didn't cost them the game per se. It just robbed them a chance of getting the ball back as it was on third down.
Yes, important
We have
distinction.
to preface that it didn't cost them the game. It just robbed them a chance of winning.
listen, Tom has taken enough beating in his personal life with the self-inflicted divorce. All right, give him a break.
Yeah. Now we're not
It's
going to
just
say any terrible kind of puns about his wife isn't re-signing him after the season. We're not going to say anything like that. Any of these kind of terrible off-color jokes.
Yeah.
But just to say, he is a idiot for choosing football over family. Like, I'm not sure you could be a more stupid human being.
Well, I think the stupider human beings are the ones that are defending his decision.
True, true. Because I
But they're
want to
the
point out, like, the teenagers
usual.
defending him, just knock it off. Like, I don't think you'd want your parents to get divorced over
Or
something so stupid.
it's not even
It's
the
not even the
teenagers, Craig.
teenagers.
It's
It's
the
the
people who
full-grown.
live through Tom vicariously.
That's true.
It's those people who are like, oh, but he's been playing for 40 years or whatever. That's not the point.
I say teenagers because like, you have to have a very like juvenile mindset to really defend Tom Brady in this situation.
He
Like,
fractured his own family for his own self-interests.
Yeah.
That
he was-
is the big problem.
And it's also too. It's like, what does he still have to play for? Like when he's like, I still have something to prove. It's like, dude, you have the most. You have all the major records.
You're
Like, every
45 years
record.
old. It's not like you're 25 or whatever, and then you're like, oh, my family, and then but I'm still young and I want to play. I want to make a career for myself. It's nothing like that at all. He's 45.
And he
He's
has
been playing
every
since
record.
2000.
Yeah. Like you've
And the-
accomplished everything you could hope for, dude, and you were a 6th-round pick. Like there's nothing left. This is just like there's like a broken psychology, like him and like that documentary, like Michael Jordan. It's like, dude, like there has to be something wrong with them. Like they can't, like it's never enough. But
it's just ego. Like they're just also partially insane. But I like the people throwing all these excuses at him, like saying, oh, his wife doesn't want him to work or all that stupid stuff. It's just, it annoys me because like they're defending a guy, breaking up his family. Because again, like you said, he's now 25. He doesn't need any more money. There's nothing left to
He
accomplish.
has a job afterwards lined up already. It's not like he's going to go broke after this unless he terribly
his wife makes more
mismanages
than
his
him.
money.
yeah, well that was the funniest thing. It's like people were like saying like, oh, like he's making money for the family. Like, dude, she's fine by herself. Like,
Yeah.
stop.
She
This is an
makes more
ego
than
thing.
him.
Yeah, this is an ego thing. And they're just like these Brady slurpers and cultists are just so like they.
And they say dumb things
it's absolutely
like,
sickening.
oh, he could find another woman. Completely missing the point.
Yeah, that's not the point.
Of course, he can find another woman. Like, what woman wouldn't, what gold
Giselle
digger
can
wouldn't throw?
equally find another man, and that's not the point.
Yeah, he can always make other children. He doesn't need those ones.
I'm pretty sure people have made that argument. Like, they're just completely missing the mind. Like, why tear apart your family? Just play one more mediocre season of football.
And a season no less that he's got losses from Mitch Trubisky and PJ Walker.
After we fired their head coach.
Yeah, I mean,
And got rid of Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah,
the Buccaneers are not playing good football. They're just very fortunate that the division is what it is. The division. Drew Brees is gone. Matt Ryan's gone. Like, if this was the NFC South 5 years ago, the Buccaneers would be in trouble. They would be like last.
It was
They
like
get
the
to be
Three
battling with
Stooges
the
just
Falcons.
moved south with Tom.
Yeah. He's very fortunate that Marcus Mariota is leading the Falcons over there, who have been very competitive. I'll give them that. Again, they were kind of screwed out of a chance to win against the Buccaneers with that terrible roughing the passer call. But I wonder what the rest of Tampa's schedule looks like. I can't imagine it's easy.
I mean, they'll definitely win their division just for the fact of the sheer incompetence of their divisional opponents. Again, it's something that just makes me sick. How this man.
Oh, they're playing the Seahawks. Okay, not a gimme. They got to play the Browns.
That's in Germany.
Yeah, not a gimme. Play the Saints. They'll probably just rob the Saints.
Wait, Wait, who are they playing in Germany?
The
The
Seahawks.
Seahawks.
Wait, who's technically the home team for that?
I think
The Bucks.
the Bucks are, yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say how funny it would have been if the Seahawks, that's a home game for them. They have to go go to another continent.
They have to go across the entire U.S. Then
They have to play the San Francisco 49ers. Then they have to play the Bengals. They play the Cardinals. Play the Panthers and the Falcons. Wow, 2 easy games at the end. But the stretch of week 14 to 16, it's gonna be tough. Browns aren't like you just can't walk over them too.
Well, he doesn't have Gronk Collins, so he's really struggling this year.
Oh geez, I forgot he has 2 Pro Bowl receivers to throw to. Oh geez.
yeah, not three. Yeah, they're terrible, but they'll make the playoffs and probably get bounced in the first round.
I don't even want them to make the playoffs. That's the sick part.
No, you know what the sick part is they'll be the ones to play the Eagles in the divisional round and beat them. That's when Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, they shit their pants. We'll be against him.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, very sickening, but that's just how life is for Tom. Playing
But
football in easy mode.
talking about him and that Falcons game specifically, that brings up another issue that the NFL now, because we skipped over this, the roughing the passers
Yes.
calls. It's because it all started with Tua Tagovailoa.
I guess let's talk about that whole situation.
So who are they playing?
They're playing the
Bengals.
Bills. Oh, wait. Are we talking about
No, it
the
was the
preamble
Bengals.
or the actual attack? Or when it actually happened?
No, it actually happened.
Oh, well, it's important to mention that the week
okay,
before,
yeah. Okay, so the
he
week
got
before,
knocked on his butt and his head hit the turf or the grass. And he tried
And-
walking and he stumbled and he clearly had a concussion.
Yeah, and he got cleared by an independent doctor, not from the team, to say he wasn't head related. He goes back in the game, whatever. And then the next week he starts, and then he gets thrown to the ground, and it was a clean it was a clean sack. It wasn't dirty
It
or
wasn't
anything
even.
like
Wait,
that.
damn, I must stop you. It wasn't even a week. They did that on Thursday night. It was Sunday to
Yeah.
Thursday.
And it was a clean sack, and he hit his head. And I've never seen someone get knocked so unconscious that their hands turn making gang signs. Like I don't know, I've never seen that.
Yeah, that was pretty
But
crazy.
yeah, it was scary. He had to get carted off. He went to the hospital. Like he was out cold. And then so because of that, the NFL went gung ho on now. Anytime a quarterback looks like they're getting thrown to the ground, or if a guy, because like a D end, like or a D lineman, if they sack him, say the quarterback tries to move up and they're coming from an angle, they have to grab him and with their momentum take him to the ground like they swing him. It's not even malicious. It's just the way the momentum carries them. The NFL has just been horrible now with like everything's not roughing the passer, which then led into same situation happened with Brady where he got sacked. It was clean, and because he got swung a bit, they threw a roughing. Now they're just throwing flags left and right. Everything is roughing the passer, which I hate when the NFL does this. It's like they mess up on one thing, or not even they mess up on it, but then because there's blowback, the NFL then just goes so gun happy, trigger happy on the flags.
And it's.
But you have to remember too, this is like not just like I think it's really just like a business decision. Like they don't like their quarterbacks getting hurt because they're the ones that help sell tickets, they're the ones that help sell jerseys, help drive up the revenue. So they want to protect the quarterback. I mean, this wasn't going on for a very long time. This is just like reaching like an obscene level where like it's going to be hard to even watch the game now,
And it all started with Brady.
as
when
usual.
when they started with the no, I'm serious.
Oh, yeah,
when
the knee rule.
when his knee got blown out, and then you can't target the knees. Even if a lineman falls forward into him, it's an automatic flag. Then Rogers with the landing on him because he broke his collarbone. They can't put your weight on him. It all started with Brady. Once they said you can't target this part of the body, it's gone to shit.
Because now you can't get anywhere close to the face mask. You can't do anything.
You can't even tap him on the helmet. I'm sorry, that's ridiculous. A hand to the helmet is going to hurt the guy with smacking it versus the guy with the helmet.
Plus, too, they're swinging their hands not to really like smack the guy like those old cornerbacks used to. Or who's the guy who used to
Nice
smack
one,
people in the
Lane.
helmet?
Deacon Jones, you're thinking of the head slap move.
Yeah. It's not
Oh,
that's
that
like
too, yeah.
mess with offensive line. Like they're doing it to kind of like bat the ball or hit their arm. They're not like trying to really like hit a guy in the head.
But the biggest problem is that it's like you're babying them, even though they signed up for this. They know they're fully well aware of the risks that can and will happen to them. Any kind of permanent injuries. I mean, we see so many. I mean, for years the NFL would say that there's no link between CTE and football. That's a complete lie. So the NFL playing this like morality police, they have no right to do that because they're anything but that. But it's part of the game. I
But
saw nobody coming trying to like protect Jermichael Finley when he almost got paralyzed. No one. Where was all those people when that happens? Because it happens to a quarterback. Everyone tries to
Well, again,
be
he's
like,
not the
"Whoa,
moneymaker. He doesn't
whoa,
it's a
help
yeah."
sell
selective,
tickets or
yeah.
sell
It's
jerseys.
yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous.
It's not putting blood
Ryan
seats.
Shazier all of a sudden like a thing of the past.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you watch you watch like film like Ellinger getting sacked 9 times. Like look at the probably hits he takes are probably worse than the ones that Mahomes would take, Allen would take, Brady will take,
Oh,
and he won't
100%.
get no flags thrown because he's a nobody.
Even a
It's
couple years
ridiculous.
ago, in the 2016 season, Cam Newton was getting absolutely killed, and no, they weren't calling roughing the passer on him, and he had to go to the commissioner about this because you guarantee you bet dollars to donuts that those hits happened to Brady, that player probably would have been suspended.
Oh, of course.
Shot.
It
Yeah,
is
I see the sniper lined up on him.
yeah. I mean, there's apparently snipers in every NFL stadium. You saw that picture, right? Ah, it doesn't matter. But what was I saying? It's absolutely terrible
Listen,
with these.
yeah,
Listen, no one's going into an NFL game hoping to see Tua throw up gang signs because he's unconscious. No one wants to see
yeah.
that. But it's part of the game. They get paid millions of dollars to do it. If I had the talent I would 100% want to be an NFL player. I get paid millions of dollars. Might not remember who I am in 20 years. Sure.
But again, that's what you sign up for. Like, it's a very violent sport. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, it's not a. This isn't golf or tennis.
Yeah, it's what these people sign up for. They're fully well aware of the potential harms that come with it. But the payout is worth it for a lot of these people. It's 100% worth it because we're not going to get into all that stuff, but for them it is worth it.
Yeah. If they can always retire and walk away if it's too much.
Yeah, thanks a lot to it.
Yep.
Getting knocked out.
But just real quick, I wanted to mention because we didn't do our NFC playoff predictions, and I think it's the way the
Oh, yeah.
standings are now. It's basically going to hold. I mean, maybe the seeding might be a little different, but I don't see much change.
Yeah, the Eagles won, the Vikings 2, Seahawks 3, Tampa 4, which is just disgusting. And
Giants and Dallas will probably take the next.
Yeah,
take
6,
two of the wild
7.
cards.
No, 5 and 6, and 7th would probably be.
I'll give it to the Niners. I mean, I
The
don't know who else
Niners
you
have a
give it to.
better percentage than the Falcons, so the Niners could be the 7th seed again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think also, I alluded to this earlier. Let's talk about the landscape of the quarterback position. Where I mentioned earlier that the likes of Tom Brady, once that parasite is finally gone, and Matt Ryan, they're the last of the traditional pocket passers. And it's going to be for the worst for the NFL because you're just, at this point, they're just going to try to get college quarterbacks that could just move around well enough to wait for a play to break. The traditional going through your progressions and delivering a pass, unfortunately, those days are long over. They're long gone. And you just wonder, like, what the quarterback position is going to look now. It's going to be a lot of ugly play.
But also too, you've noticed like they've been trying to like basically turn football into flag football for a long time now. That's what we'll probably get to, like flag football, running around in the backyard, trying to make big plays.
And get these quarterbacks flexing because no one can touch them. I always laugh at that. Like someone like Mahomes gets up, he makes a run, he like flexes. It's like, dude, you can't even get hit. Stop acting tough. Yeah.
If
I
it's one thing if Adrian Peterson did that, he ran you over and then he flexes, I'll be like, jeez, like
You
if
ran a
Derrick
man, you ran a
Henry,
grown man over.
like if Derrick Henry flexed after after he launched Josh Norman, understandable. You just launched a grown man.
yeah.
But like when these defenders go now basically have to do everything they can to not hit you. It's and then they act tough. I'm like, stop. But
Yeah, but Colin, I share the same grim outlook. I mean, maybe we'll
yeah,
stop watching football at some point, but not this year.
Oh, I don't know if we talked about this too last time. The stupid overtime rule, as the Bills were complaining. Did we talk about that?
I think we
Maybe.
did.
We did. Okay.
But I think we should
That
also
still
address.
bothers me.
I think we should also address just the NFL shortening overtime in general. They especially when their reasoning is, oh, we want less ties, and then they make it a 10-minute quarter. Why? They should just keep a 15-minute quarter.
Goodell has to go. He is absolutely the worst. He is the
He's never going
worst.
to go because he's made so much money for the owners.
Well, I know that, but he is just absolutely the worst kind of commissioner there can be. He is just terrible. Goodell is the worst.
Yeah. But
From his responses to players who've committed heinous things, his responses on almost all those situations have been terrible.
You
boys,
leave Deshaun Watson out of this.
I wasn't
I
even
was just
talking
gonna
about
say
Deshaun Watson.
we're coming up on his return though.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see him run for a first down, then get up and smell his finger. Point.
Yeah, well, he's down by 30 points.
Yeah, Goodell's the worst. These
How is
rules
he?
are just becoming worse and worse every year. And they're talking about wanting to challenge roughing the passer. Good luck with that. It's going to be the same thing with the defensive pass interference. Good luck. The refs
Yeah,
are going to do that with a grain of salt.
the refs are like, yeah, screw you. You're not allowed to do that. Because that's essentially what it was. They're like, screw you for even challenging it.
Yeah, good. Whoever wants to recommend that, good luck. And I hate the number change. It's so weird. We've
What,
been
for
saying this.
players?
They want to make it like college at this point. A lot of high scoring every week.
These athletic quarterbacks running around, but they can't deliver the big throws when it matters most.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just that. The way the NFL is going is just
Which is funny because like
take defenses out of the game. It's like
what's funny, I was like they're doing stuff like this. They're trying to expand into Europe because I've heard plans they want like someone said like a division in Europe.
No, that is. I hope the owners don't vote for that, but it'll probably mean more money, so they would.
I don't know. To me, like I don't know why they don't try to expand into Mexico and Canada more. I mean, they're on our continent.
I don't think they should. I think it's fine the way it is. They tried a European Union or European division or whatever, a league, and
Then I
every
feel
time they've
Europe.
done it, it's failed. People don't care about football out there. They're big soccer people or football. That's just their sport, Nothing wrong with that.
That's what I'm saying. Why not go into Canada? They did, they do have a CFL. I mean, I don't know if that's like maybe an agreement not to do that, but I feel like, if there's ever a place to expand, you think Canada and Mexico. I mean, the countries that border us.
And Pat McAfee has talked with a lot of former players and even current players. They all hate going over there to London and whatnot. They all hate it. They all call it like the worst thing. And now you want to have players every week fly over there? Get out of here.
I'm trying to imagine too, like like imagine a player just. I mean, I guess someone on the staff would like make them get a passport. Like imagine some guys like, yeah, I'm not going to get a passport, and they can't play for that team.
yeah, you're gonna ask players to like uproot and go to another continent.
Yeah, imagine the team from Germany signs you and you're in the United States. Or you get drafted by a team in Germany. Like, get out of here. I'm not going to move to
Or worse
another
yet,
country.
you just get traded without even warning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you get traded from Munich to Seattle.
No!
Yeah,
Yeah, the NFL is a giant mess. And the future just looks darker and darker. with
Because
Goodell.
it gets people. They're too greedy. I mean, they're all they're thinking about. Like that's why we have an extra playoff game. They're getting really greedy with all like trying to maximize their
The
revenue.
extra game. I don't mind the extra playoff game.
No preseason.
I don't like the extra playoff game because now you're going to get even worse teams in the playoffs.
Well, yes, I know that. I think it was perfectly fine the way it was. And the extra game is really messing everything up.
Yeah, why an odd number?
I don't like it.
I like the
irks
fact
me.
that teams could be 500 perpetually.
Yeah,
Did they ever
good thing
remove a
Jeff
game?
Fisher retired.
I was gonna say he would vanish.
Could the
him and
NFL
Jason
ever like
Garrett.
ratify it and be like, yeah, let's go back to 16?
I don't know if they've ever like gone back on like a rule.
No, I mean it makes too much money. They would never do it.
Well, if Goodell goes, maybe.
Because even like the extra game is another out of conference game. Like
The way it was with the 16 games and the 32 teams, everything was perfect. Everything made sense. It was fine the way it was, and it's a classic case of, well, how do we make it worse for more money?
greed.
But even if you expand the games, right? You expand the season, like how the NFL's done that. We've gone from 12 to 14 to 16. Why do you just go one? Like, why do you go from 16 to 17? Why don't you jump to 18 and make it an even number? Like,
Well, I'm pretty sure that the players union, like they were already struggling to convince them for 17 games. I don't think you could get them on 18.
Yeah, absolutely not. They wouldn't be able to. Is that all we have to say for ourselves?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, get good games for the rest of the year. Hopefully, a good playoff run. I don't know. I'm on the edge of it. The Giants doing well, so I'm kind of happy.
Reich's gone, so I'm happy.
All we could say is, good luck, Jeff Saturday.
Playing Josh McDaniels. Let's go.
So I'm just gonna make a prediction. I think the Raiders will fire Josh McDaniels if the Jeff Saturday led Colts beat them. Just gonna throw that out there.
That'd be hilarious. Like everyone's.
We're probably not
clowning
gonna
on.
make another episode until February after the season's over. And I'll probably forget what I even said in this anyway. But
I was thinking, we will come back at the end of the season, maybe the end of the postseason. Who knows?
Peg won't let you forget what you said, Colin.
yeah, whatever. That rat. What's he gonna do? Well, this has been the Unbiased Opinion, where everyone's opinion is biased except ours. I'm Colin.
I'm not Roger Goodell.
And I'm not a doctor.